What's happening, y'all? It's me again. Welcome to the In His Voice podcast hosted by me, Rob L. Lowe, where we talk about those things that tragically impact the lives of boys and men without bashing women. We talk about everything from the bedroom to the boardroom, from the playground to the stadium, and everything in between. Today's show, something super important to me. Today's show, I have a bunch of guests that are joining where we're going to talk about my book that came out. And the title of my book is So What? Keep Going, A Story of Resilience. And before I bring the guest in, we're going to have an open dialogue about the book. But I do want to kind of set the stage for this podcast. This podcast isn't about asking who were they? What was their relationship with you? This podcast isn't about mentioning names or even companies' names. When I wrote the book, I gave a disclaimer in the beginning of the book that says this book was intended to protect the privacies of individuals, dead or alive, companies that I worked for in the past, and individuals that I work with. And so knowing that, I wrote the book to build people up while telling my truth, not to tear people down. And what I realized is that when you write a book and you put it out there, people are going to interpret it many different ways, and they're going to look at it through their lens. And as much as that hurts sometimes, that's the price of admission if you're going to write your autobiography. And so I was hesitant about doing this, but I still need to do it because I really need to tell the motivation behind the book. What was it like for me? What was the process? Why? And what I felt in the beginning and throughout the 19 years. And on the show today, I have some guests who have different parts, who play different parts or pivotal roles in my life. And there's a couple people on the show who other people don't know who they are, but they're going to find out firsthand why they were so important. And so get ready for the discussion. Thank you for tuning in. Let's jump into it. Y'all, how y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
All right. So listen, welcome to the In His Voice podcast. Y'all heard me do the intro. I hope all of you have read the book or read part of the book. I really do. There's a couple people on the call that I really want to highlight. So, my wife Robin is actually producing the show behind the scenes, but there are a couple people that I want to call out. So y'all know how genuine, how sincere this podcast is to me. So I'm looking up something real quick. Give me a second. So on the call with us is a young lady by the name of Aisha Masonette. And if y'all see her, you see her in the screen. And the reason why I called her out specifically, because if you read the book, there's a lady who co-wrote the book with me. And I have to tell you the process for how I even met Aisha. So someone who she knew referred me to her. And Aisha is a creative writer, has a creative writing background, but never wrote an autobiography. Over the last 19 years, I had worked with 5 other writers. I had spent up to this point, before I even met her, over $12,000 trying to finish the book. And the writer that I had worked with at the beginning of the year gave me some stuff that was late. The book was due on June 30th. I quit my job to finish this book, thinking I would be able to go and do motivational speaking and a bunch of other things, but it didn't happen. And so when I connected with Aisha and I told her what I wanted, here's what she told me. She's like, we're going to finish this book. I hear it in your voice, Rob. You're going to, I promise you, we will finish this book. And it took us about 2 weeks to find our speaking voice and our rhythm. But once she found it, all she told me to do was send her audio files. And she interviewed me every day after that, to the point, here's how committed she was. She didn't do it because of me, but she did it to help me. She quit her job to help me finish this book so I could hit a deadline. And what I told her, I said, this book is so powerful for me and it's so meaningful and it hurts so much to write. that I wasn't going to call her a ghostwriter. I was going to give her writing credit for this book. So when you open up the book, you'll see it says co-written by Aisha Masonette. And if anybody who you know wants to write a book and doesn't know how, this is a dope lady right here. I'll show y'all something a little later, but we just got our first review outside of Amazon, our first professional review. And we got 5 stars. And I looked to see, okay, is this something they just do? Well, at first it was a free review. I didn't pay for it. And they sent me a message and said, no, we only post 3 and 4 stars. If it's less than that, we don't post it. We just send people the private critique. Well, they sent me my critique. They gave me 5 stars in every category with the exception of marketability. They gave me a 4. And I sent it to Aisha. I said, I told you, 1, you are that talented. 2, the story would resonate. And when I told her about the book, I said, Aisha, I'm going to tell you the raw, uncut things. But the thing that is most important to me, I need you to make sure that I write this book in a way that I don't tear down other people. And she said, okay. I said, no, that's important. Like, I need to be very mindful that I don't tear down other people. And she said, I hear you. I got you. And so when she wrote it, what she heard is not what's in the book. She heard everything raw and uncut. But she wrote it in a way so that I could appreciate and the people that would read the book would appreciate what came out of it. And so I have to call her out because she's an amazing talent. And if y'all don't mind me saying, she's only 28 years old and a mother of 2 young sons and a wife. And so to take on the challenge to write this type of book, your first time out with that much trauma, when we were going through the process, I said, Aisha, people won't believe this. And she said, Rob, they won't. She said, but if I wasn't writing the book, I wouldn't believe it was true. One person can't go. And she can attest to this. There's a bunch of stories that we didn't even put in the book. A bunch that didn't even make the book. And when I said, Aisha, we should put that in there. She says, no, you don't need to. You've already painted enough trauma for yourself. You've painted a picture of enough of your mistakes. You don't need to add anything else to the book. So Aisha, I just want to say thank you. Is there anything you want to say before I go and talk about the other folks that are here?
Yeah, so you're welcome, first and foremost. I just want to say that I definitely think that how we found each other in the process was definitely God-led. It was totally random. I wasn't looking for another project. I was actually in the process of ghostwriting someone else's story about domestic abuse, and she wanted to put a pause on it. And right after I took a break from that is when I met Mr. Lowe. And like he said, it took us about 2 weeks to find our groove. But then once we found it and I found his speaking voice, it was smooth sailing from there. And as a writer, one thing that I really wanted to do for him, in addition to telling his story and bringing his life, alive on the page, is basically presenting him in a way where people, they may not agree with his decisions, throughout the book. But at the end, I really wanted people to understand him as a person and understand that, he went through all of these trials and tribulations, but he continued to persevere. He continued to have triumph. And the title, So What, Keep Going, A Story of Resilience, embodies the entire story. And so I'm very happy about the success of the book. I'm not surprised. I knew it was going to do well. I know it's going to continue to do well. And I'm just glad to be a part of it now.
Well, we have a book signing coming up in Indianapolis in December. We have a radio promo coming up November the 30th. We're going to do a radio promo, me and Aisha. And I told her, I said, look, you took a chance on me. And I promise you, I will let people know you helped me write this book. I'm not going to push you in the background. Like, I'm here because she helped me. And so thank you. And then everyone on the phone, like, from y'all can't see Aisha. Aisha is my press release person, man. My marketing. She's doing my event planning. So when I do my book tour, she's going to do it. She used to work for me. Chanel was a childhood friend of ours. in Kansas City, and really when I didn't have a job and when I got fired at the financial services, man, her husband was the person I called crying. And so they can tell these stories are true. And Aretha in the corner, y'all, there's a story that after I split with the person that I'm going to talk about in a second, I went to Indiana State, y'all, and I was hurting. I was homeless and I was hurting. And we were friends since undergrad. And when I was there, she spent time with me and she would literally cook meals for me and ask me if I had enough to eat. And she didn't even know I was there because I'm homeless. Andrew, who just joined the call, my best friend from Kansas City, he knows some of these stories. He was there when I got fired. And I got fired on a Friday before I moved into my house on a Monday. And I remember him, we talking, and he was like, man, you're going to be okay. What didn't make the book, y'all, was the company that we got our mortgage through changed the terms of the loan at closing. Literally created some predatory, and I had no choice but to sign the loan because all of my stuff was in the truck. Fortunately, he worked for HUD. And because of his knowledge, he helped me go and change and work out with HUD and file a complaint where they made the mortgage company let me out of the loan because they tried to jack the interest rate from like 6% to 14%. Because I had filed bankruptcy the year before. So if you read the book, I'm going to connect some dots for you on things that should be connected. And then there's someone on this book, on this thing right now, who I just have to call out, is Sherelle. So if y'all read the book, there's a story in there about a girl named Sherelle, a girl who, when I was ready to commit suicide and I backed into a snow mound, she came down the street and banged on the door and told me to get out. When I went to my cousin's house that night and I slept on that floor, she came and laid with me. When I didn't have any place to stay, she knew I slept on my sister's couch in between sleeping on my cousin's floor. And I talked to her the other day and I was like, Sherelle, and we talked about, she remembers the night where I was afraid for my life, where the guy was beating on the door and threatened to kill me. She's like, we talked about that. You told me the next day. And I said, it's amazing because you know these stories. And from the outside, people who don't know the stories would be like, he's making it up. But she's right there on this camera and she can attest to every story. Andrew can attest to the story. I got fired on a Friday before I had to move into my house on a Monday. Chanel can attest to the story. I worked for a financial services company where I got fired for something I didn't do. And they walked me out, called me, and fired me over the phone. Dana, who did the book cover, y'all, interviewed me for a year doing the audio files. And I started this process 19 years ago. And it hurt. It literally hurt to bear your shame, your most humiliating moments, the things that I did when I was a child, the things that people said to me, the hurt, the failures I had in corporate America. It hurt. But I'm here now. And so now I gave y'all the backdrop. I really want to have a discussion openly, and you won't hurt my feelings. But again, I'm not here to bash people who can't defend themselves. But what did you take away from the book? For those of you that knew me growing through these stories, what was your takeaway from the book? How did you feel when you read it? Anybody? Don't hurt yourself. Y'all on mute.
So, may I?
Absolutely.
So, my takeaway was congratulations, because in order to go through and then capture, and then actually put the story in a sense that was separate from you, so that others can actually view it themselves.
Yeah.
And not only view it themselves, but possibly view some of themselves within the story. was congratulatory. Many of us get through something and we just exhale. What I saw the book as an inhale, because you were taking your next breath to go to your next step.
Wow.
So
You know, man, Andrew, y'all, here's some more that's not in the book. When I was at my deepest moments, when Robin was washing dishes in that school, I talk about it. When she would go to work, Andrew would come to my house and would sit with me. And I would have tears in my eyes, and he would encourage me. And he created this thing called Dinner and Dialogue in Kansas City, where it gave a chance for men, grown men, to actually have a panel discussion in front of women and share our hurt. Now, this happened in the midst of me going through all that I was going through. And I remember getting on that panel, and I was like, I needed that panel more than anything, because I needed an avenue to talk about this pain without saying it was me. So, brother, thank you. And that's been 20 years now. 20 years. Thank you. Anybody else have a perspective on the book? You know, now that you read it and now that you know me. Sure, I know you want to talk, because I'm waiting for yours. I've been waiting 30 years for this one. 30 years. And Sherelle, you can share what you said about how disappointed you were with me. Like, you can share that.
Oh, yeah. When we talked, I was just saying how your experience with me was very, very different than my experience with you. It was night and day. So it was a difficult time for me in that relationship. It was very challenging. It was hard. It was, and I think, looking back on it, as I was reading the book and thinking about our conversation, and I was like, wow, what was going on? And I think it tapped into some of my own childhood trauma. And so the way I left that space was it left me in a broken space, a space where I didn't even want to remember that time in my life. And so when you did apologize to me, I remember we ran into each other, and I just wasn't even in a space to receive it at that time. So, but it made me think and reflect just our conversation on where I was emotionally and what was going on even in my life that you probably weren't even aware of, because you were more vocal where I am not. And so I told you, just even for you to write this book took a lot of courage. And so for me, I'm not that type of person. Like my friend Dana was like, you didn't even tell me about it. I said, no, for a reason.
Right.
But, just being in a much better space. But, what I heard, you said something. You said that this book was helpful for you because it allowed you to, in writing it and getting it all out, you were able to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So it released you from hiding behind it anymore. And how often, how many times, and for how long do we hide behind our own stuff? We don't want to speak about it. We don't want to talk about it. And sometimes talking about it and getting it out does, help other people. I was listening to a woman on the radio, and she said this week. I was like, wow. Because our pastor was talking about your next will be better. Whatever your next is will be better than what has been. And she said, you may not have been responsible for your pain, but you are responsible for your healing. And so owning, and I was like, dang, how long have I allowed myself to place my healing on other people? That even though we talked about that when we were talking about how the way I got back at people is I didn't let it go.
Mm.
And the only person that was hurting was me. And I laid all my pain on them and left it there and let them be responsible and never taking ownership for my own healing. So, today I'm in a much, much different space. But that was just, as I've been reading this book and talking to God and in my own devotional private time, some of those things are resonating with me. Like, dang, how long was I in that space? And how long does it take? But it doesn't matter. We here now, right? We here now.
I'll say it publicly. Man, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for opening up that door. Thank you for laying on that floor. Thank you for at least giving me the opportunity to come and apologize. Everything happens for a reason because all those things had to happen for me to get to this place. But you truly were a blessing, and I want you to know that. So thank you. Um, I'm going to come to you, Lonnie, because I got to save you for last, bro. Um, Dana.
Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Lowe. How are you this evening?
I'm good. You're the newbie to my life. And so without knowing any of the history, man, how did the book impact you?
Well, let me say this first. I had an opportunity to meet Mr. Lowe at a diversity conference, and he was the guest speaker. And he did a great job. He stood up initially and said, he talked about his book. And I sat at the table, was like, oh, I'm not getting another book. I'm just not doing it. But then after he, continued to present, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what? I might have to get this book. And about the time he was done, I was like, oh no, I need to get the book. I went up to the table. I'm like, you know what? I'm flying out to Baltimore. I need a book to read. I need the book. He's like, it's not for sale. I don't care. I need to read this book. So, so I'm grateful that I was able to get the book. Read it in 2 days. And I described it as an emotional roller coaster because it was just a lot of trauma in there, unfortunately, that I was able to relate to. And I was so proud of Mr. Lowe for being able to express it. I'm like, gosh, ooh, I don't think I want to tell all my stuff. Like, the Lord knows. But yeah, I was really proud of his confidence and his clarity. And so it encouraged me to, well, let me stop for a minute. So I'm from Gary. And so just to see a name in there that I was familiar with, L.O., someone from Gary. And then when he said he went to I-State, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't, I started getting nervous. I'm like, because I went to IU, Sherelle and I, and Aretha's my sorority sister. I used to go to I-State all the time. But nevertheless, it was just, I felt like I knew him because he talked about some people in the book that I knew of, Mr. Ezel. But you know what? I think the biggest takeaway for me is, years ago, Sherelle and I used to work in teen ministry at Eastern Star Church. And we actually started teen ministry, and we made a huge difference. And I bumped into a young lady, hadn't seen in 20, 25 years, and she talked about how Sherelle and I really impacted her life. And I actually really kind of forgot about her. She was at my son's house. His wife is a speech pathologist, so she was over there getting service for her son, and she just spoke so highly of Sherelle and I. And it just, after reading the book, I'm like, you know what? And it's been on my heart anyway, but I need to go ahead and move forward. I believe I need to go back and start working with youth because it's, adults, we make a difference in young people's lives. Mr. Lowe, you talked about how someone told you to go to I-State. You just went to I-State and then just, look what happened. So I want to be able to pour into somebody's life. So that was the biggest takeaway. And another takeaway for me is I have to step up. I'm a senior HR business partner for FedEx. I need to step up my HR game because Mr. Lowe was getting VP jobs. He was getting them, getting fired, getting another. I'm like, you know what? How is he getting all these jobs? So that was encouraging to me. So yeah, so I'm really proud of you. I appreciate you just sharing your story. I appreciate you looking out for my girl. Because I stopped mid. I'm like, wait a minute. I sent out a group text. Sherelle, do you know this guy? Because I think this is you he's talking about. And, she was like, yeah. And I'm like, you never told us about him. We share our stories, what's going on in our lives. And Sherelle never mentioned it. But, I'm just encouraged. So I'm encouraged not to give up. And if there's anything, and I can speak for Sherelle too, if there's anything that we can do for you, we'll be glad to come alongside and help, get the word out and whatever you need us to do, because you have truly been a blessing to us. So, thank you so much.
Man, thank you. Jelani, I saw you raise your hand, so you got to take your phone off mute.
No, I was just saying hi, everybody.
Ah.
I think I see my big cousin Keith up here too, don't I?
It's
Is it Goldsmith?
No. That's a friend of mine named Andrew from Kansas City.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. How's everybody doing though? I'm just tuning in.
All right, I'm gonna come back to you. So in my book, y'all read about a cousin named Jelani who let me sleep on this couch, who like was my best friend, my little brother, man. Like that's him. So Aisha, Chanel, and then I said Dana. Now I'm gonna say Dani because she knows who that is, right? I have to call her by her nickname. Dani, for you to go through this journey with me, man, what's it like for you now? Yeah, she's on mute. And there's a story that didn't make the book. I got sick in grad school, overdosed on some stuff, not overdosed like drug, but I mixed too many medicines. And Dani and her sister Crystal are like my little sisters. I went to their room and I broke out in hives and I literally just dropped my pants and held my arm out. I had hives all over my body. And she said, "What the hell did you do? What'd you take?" And I took NyQuil, I took Benadryl, I took Robitussin. Man, they took me to the clinic and they gave me a shot, man. They had to walk me to my dorm so I could go to sleep. But that gives you an idea. I've been knowing her since I was 16 and she was 14. So.
That's his version. We went to the same high school, but we debate. I did not know him personally until after. But Junie knew a lot of people. I keep my circle kind of small, so I'm going to have to debate him on that for life.
I absolutely knew you. Okay, Dani, what's your take now? Like the book, and you saw it before it got published, right? You read it for me.
I'm glad it's finally done because people talk about doing books all the time, and then they never finish them ever. So just the fact between losing your mom when you were a child, the story with your dad, because for the longest. I just thought you didn't really know him. But then when you told me, like during the book process, you said, "No, I see him all the time." I say, "Hi, Bobby." And I'm thinking, "Oh, wow, okay." So you still saw him around the way, but the relationship just wasn't there. And it seems like that would make it even more painful. You still have to look at this man that gave you life,
Yeah.
And you have his name on top of everything else. So I can understand, when you talk about how you feel about being in Indianapolis. I get it. I really do get it. I'm definitely proud of you. Most definitely. For more reasons than just that. You've accomplished a lot, but one thing you always said is that if you really want to be successful, you have to leave. You have to get away. That has not been the easiest for me because of my family dynamic and family business and so many other things. But at 40-something, well, okay, I'm 50 now, 51. 51, I get it now. But it's one of those things where because you were here and your grandparents were here, my grandparents died when I was 9 and 11. My mom's grandparents, her mom and my grandfather, they lived in Pennsylvania. So we used to travel to get to them. So I never wanted to have to figure out in time and space, how am I going to get to somebody if they're sick? So I've always stayed kind of close. One day I said, I could always travel. And that's what I ended up doing. That was my solution. So I used to have arguments with you that you didn't know about. And that was one of them. But I'm definitely proud of you, Julie. I'm glad you got it done.
Man, thank you. I gave her, so she did my logo for my company, for my podcast. She did the cover design for the book, the front and the back. And I gave her a vision, what I wanted. And she's done a lot of books, but I tell her all the time, this is the dopest cover she's ever done. I don't care what the rest of them say. I truly believe that. Miss Beeman, anything you want to share? Because, man, you've seen me in the last 2 years in that role and this journey of trying to finish this book. And even what we talked about this week, the hurt that I felt, and I just won't share it on here, but the things that were said, it hurt me, man. Any thoughts? And if not, that's okay.
Rob, I know you from a business level, from Republic, and I'm just proud of you. Like everyone has said on the that you completed it. A lot of people have, this baby of birthing a book or something that the Lord gives them to do, and we want to be purpose driven, but because life happens and we have a lot of things going on within our life, we don't finish it. But I'm just proud of you that you completed the book. I know you had said before, I just want to finish it. So I'm glad you gave birth to it, because like I've told you before, this book is bigger than you. And as I hear these people talk and how they're proud of you, it's going to help so many people heal. And it's beyond physical. It's about generational stuff. It's about spiritual stuff, trauma. So I'm just happy that one person can be blessed. If one person can be healed, then it's all worth it. So big ups to you, and continue to do the work.
Thank you. Chanel, anything you want to add? No pressure though.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. I'm here just to say congratulations on behalf of myself and Larry. He couldn't join, but I wanted to join just to say congratulations again, that you are a walking testimony. You are inspiring. You give people hope. You touched so many lives. You touched our lives. You came in our life at the right time. You and your wife, in all these years, no matter how long we haven't talked or anything, no matter what, you guys can count on us. We can count on you, and I appreciate that. And I'm like I said, congratulations again on writing this book, because it is powerful and it's given me hope, and just to keep pushing. And I believe that's what you're here for, is to continue to give people push, and then just do what you do, every single day, and that's helping. And I believe that's your calling.
Thank you. That's my little sister right there, man. Thank you. Robin smiling too. Jelani. I saw Lynn join, so that's my sister, but I'm gonna come to her. But this dude right here, if y'all read the book, so y'all know the story about me getting dropped off in college on the steps. Y'all know the story about me sleeping on his couch, and he would have let. And he would have let me stay every day, but I didn't tell him how it made me feel. And so I would spend time between his house, Robin's apartment, and I would sleep in the rest stop on I-70 in my car. And so, Cuzzo, what's your take on the book, man? Like, how did it impact you?
To be honest, I haven't finished all of it, but what I found out was there's a lot about it that I didn't. I was already, super proud of it. I always tell everybody, I'm proud of it, dude. I tell him all the time. I said, cuz you don't let nothing stop you. You know what I'm saying? He kept talking about writing this book, and I was like, get it finished. What are you waiting on? Finish the damn book then. But my take is, I never knew him as a kid. So I knew him as an adult. I haven't read up to our years yet. I was more interested in his years because I lived the rest of them with him.
Yeah.
But, he was always my big cousin. He was always a good cousin, never pulled any shady shit on you. I mean, never. The only bad things, I used to come here from California, and he used to try to kiss me with his big wet lips on the cheek. But I'm going to get off of it.
He stole my girlfriend. He stole my girlfriend.
He's the really what made me want to go to college. When I came from California, my life was in shambles, and I got to see somebody who was really doing something with themselves, who didn't even have as much as I did, in my opinion. You know, but he was still grinding. He would go to work every day, you know, or he'd go to school. He'd come home in the summertime, and me and him would take care of each other.
Yeah.
I got paid on this week, he got paid on that week. So, you know, it did hurt my feelings when it did hurt when I found out he was sleeping on the highway. I just found this out. Because I'm like, he could have stayed off 5, 6, 7 days.
Yeah.
My house was his house. But he told me he respected the fact that I was taking care of my family. And we're talking, what, 24, 22, 24?
Yeah.
22, maybe something like that.
This is in 1997 at the time.
Just had my daughter in 94, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't, you know, but he's always been groundbreaking. He don't even surprise me no more. I just continue to congratulate the dude. Because he deserves it. And I tell anybody who got something to say, they'll never talk bad about him around me because I'm going to tell the truth. But a lot of them don't know the truth, but a lot of people dislike you when you're successful and they see you came from the same place they did or on the same level, but you did something greater. You know, but I'm proud of you, cousin. I really am. I love you. Tell your wife and kids I said hello, but you keep on grinding, keep on working. Ain't nobody been able to stop you yet, and I don't think they will be able to ever.
Cause I appreciate you. You know the bond is real even now, man, and even the encouragement you gave me yesterday and today, bro. Like they'll never understand why we had a bond that we do, but you do. Andrew, you raised your hand, and then I'm gonna go to my sister. Andrew, you raised your hand.
I can wait. I have a comment, but I'll wait till after you go.
Nah, man, like share it, cause me and my sister about to have a dialogue.
So, Rob, dinner dialogue moment.
Yeah.
What took you so long to take the mask off? And when I say that,
Yeah.
for persons like myself, you know, we use this I statement. When I'm around someone like Sherelle, I'll just take my glove off. When I'm around Robert, I'll take my shoes off. When I'm around Dana, you know, I'll take my coat off. I'm taking certain things off for certain moments, thinking that I'm revealing what's necessary for them to nurture, help, or whatever. What took you so long to take the mask off?
Embarrassed, man. Embarrassed thinking that if people only knew, they would view me differently and they would say, what's wrong with him? Why did he keep making those mistakes? Why did he keep, like, something's wrong with him? In the book, I tell the story about the white girl, the white lady, and I looked down and I said, don't do it. Don't say nothing to her. And I let my ego get the best of me, and I went and had the conversation anyway, and I knew it was going to turn bad. You know, the instances when I was a kid, of things that I did, I literally thought something is wrong with me. Why would I do those things? What's not in the book, maybe it is, I walked into my first therapy session, Andrew, at 41, 42. And I walked in as a white therapist, and I looked at him, and I said, man, I don't know how this is supposed to go, but I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of failing. I can't get past this bitterness that I have. And I was angry at that point. And I said, man, people, they say all these things about me. And he said, but listen, man, first of all, we'll start wherever you want to start. And two, your bullshit is your bullshit, and they haven't walked in your shoes. He used those exact words. He said, so it don't matter. They ain't walked in your shoes. And I just started crying. I told you I cried before I got on this session, and I was listening to Smokey Norfolk and Marvin Sapp because I was like, man, this day is finally here. Like, I'm literally sharing this stuff publicly with people now. It still hurts. But go ahead.
You know, one of one of the things that I'm hoping, the reason for that question is, Hope mentioned something that was very poignant. She said at the time she was going through something.
Yeah.
And that was the reason for that question. What I would like to share to all of the female listeners, and forgive me for saying something if it's been redundant or you already know this, but a lot of us men are afraid of revealing ourselves, because if you saw us, then you may not love us.
Woo.
We want. Not only do we want to give love, but we want to love.
Yeah.
And saw the type of love that we were displaying or claiming, you wouldn't accept it, and we'd be alone. And that's what God said. That's the worst place in the world. When he saw a man was alone, that was the only thing he said was bad. And that is truly bad. And it manifests in us the thought of being alone. So forgive us for not wanting to be alone. And, for the things that we do. But we know not what we do. So.
Sherelle, I'm good to you, sis. Sherelle, you.
Just 10 seconds. I forgot. I said it to you, and as I'm listening to you, I'm like, man, this is such a different person than back then. You are such a different person, and that's a good thing. Just what a testament to your journey and the power, of God that he had in your life, that it affected your life, that you would, take matters into your hand and say, you know what, I need some help, and I can get it, and I can be okay. And you are always okay, you are always okay. But you are just, I'm like, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm like, you sound like just such a very different person, and it makes me happy. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Sis, this week, I got calls from people. I won't mention names. I heard what he says a lie. The stuff he's saying ain't true. He said this in the book, and I said, has anybody read the book? No one read the book. And I had to tell myself, it's another example where you got to say, so what, and keep going. But you've been with me my whole life. Every time I lost my job, every time I got accused, I called you. When I asked you to pray over the cup because I had smoked weed the night before, when I was thinking about not getting the ring for Robin, you was like, no, I heard you pray, God, ask God, you gonna get that ring. What did you get when you read the book?
Well, I haven't read all the books. I have to read it, to be honestly, in increments, because of the fact it was, your childhood life, and from where you were to where we are today, and the fact that I've been there with you. So for me, and I read a few things that you had in there that even dealt with my life.
Mm-hmm.
But what I got from reading the book, I'm glad you wrote the book, because it took courage to do that. It took courage to let the world know that through it all, right? Through it all, you've learned to trust in God. And that book is evidence to show where he brought you from to where he brought you to. Because he knew your life when you were in the belly or in the womb of our mother. He already knew. Excuse me. He already knew the challenges and the things that you were going to have to endure. That you were going to have to endure. And there was a lot of things. There were some things that I read that I had really no idea that those things happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because maybe God was protecting me from some things of not knowing. I don't know. I don't know if I just knocked him out, but I am very, very proud of you as my brother and what you have accomplished in life. And you did not allow people, you could have, but
but you didn't allow for people. Let me park a minute because I'm driving. I just left work. You did not allow people. You did not allow adversities. You didn't allow that to stop you. And looking back at your careers, you use grandma and mama as your motivator.
Yeah.
So, and I think what you're focusing there is what also helped you out, helped bring you to where you are today. But it's to God be the glory. You know, prayer, it's power in prayer.
Yeah.
God is a God, he said he'll never leave us nor forsake us. And you cast all your cares on him, all your burdens, everything you're going through, you cast it on him. And you've done that. So you went through some tests and some trials. But look where you are today. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Listen, I got to tell y'all, my sister, y'all hear, like, she truly has a strong love for God. Whenever I hit a valley, I would call her and ask her specifically to pray for me. But I'm telling you, y'all, my sister lost 75 pounds this year alone in the last 5 months. When I'm talking about when you put your mind to something, beautiful. Man, I'm happy for you. You look good. I know you feel good. You look white. But you look good. Right. That's all right. Yeah, I know. I love you, sis. Thank you. Look, someone just joined. Demetria, I work with D at one of the companies in the book. And D, I don't know if you know the story or not. You don't have to talk about it. But if you had a chance to read the book, you're on mute. If you had a chance to read the book, what was your takeaway? What was your takeaway from the book?
Hey, well, I haven't read the book yet, Rob, but I gotta get it. Just been super crazy busy, but I did just want to also say that I'm so super proud of you. Just, you know, I saw that you were destined for greatness when I worked with you at CSI. So I haven't read the book yet, but I promise you I'm going to get it and I'm going to read it.
Well, thank you. And I hope it blesses you. I hope. Okay, so here's a story with D, y'all. I don't know if I put it in the book. About 3 months after working with her, she walked down to my office. She said, now, D, I'm going to say this, and you didn't realize it. She said, you got these people food. I said, what you talking about? She was like, you ain't nothing but Tupac in a suit. You remember that?
Absolutely do.
She said, you ain't nothing but Tupac in a suit. Now, remember, this was in 2004. That's how much I remember. She's like, you got these people food. You ain't nothing but Tupac in a suit. And I was looking, but at the time, y'all, I was actually embarrassed because I tried not to be him. Like, I was trying to suppress that ghetto kid from Indianapolis, man. Like, I was trying to be something that wasn't natural for me. And she walked in my office and closed the door. And when she told me, it actually hurt. I never told her it hurt, but it hurt. Because it's not in the book. There's another story in my life where I got to the point after I left. It's in the book. After I left the conversation with my boss who said I was arrogant, I said I got tired of being what other people want me to be. I was so tired because I had been labeled so many times of what people thought I was. But when she told me I'm Tupac in a suit, I said from this point on, that's what I am. And after that one vice president said what he said, my whole demeanor changed. I was like, man, y'all gonna call me whatever you want, but I'm gonna be him now. And even the way that I manage today, like I don't bite my tongue when I walk in a room. I don't cower. I don't let my chest sink in. I am who I am, and I got an edge to me. But now you read my book, you know why I have one. So D, once you read it, I'd love to get your thoughts. Tell everybody there they need to go get this book. Tell them.
And when I said that to you, Rob, I did not mean that in a negative way. I just saw you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I saw you.
Yeah.
Junie.
Yeah.
Is that your nickname?
Yeah,
Junie?
it is.
Yeah, I saw Junie. You
I,
know what
it
I'm
was
saying?
it was
So
crazy.
I just called out who I saw, but like I said, it wasn't meant in a negative, connotation in any shape, form, or
I
fashion. It
know
was just me being real with you, and that and you know what? That bonded us.
it did.
You know what I'm saying?
It
We've
did.
been friends, and we kept in contact with each other since then.
Yeah.
So
You you you
yeah, it's all
you,
good.
you know I'm grateful because I promise you, other people might have been thinking it, but no one had the courage to say it. And then once you put it out there, and I had to have some other experiences, I decided I'm gonna walk in my truth. And so, I literally walked in my truth. Right. That same year, I had a diamond Aquamaster watch. This is before she said it. And I went to a meeting in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and a controller, a white guy, said, "Is that a diamond watch you got on?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We pay you that much money? That's what you wear to work?" It hurt my feelings. I left Crawfordsville, went to Indianapolis, took the watch off, and gave it to Jelani because I was embarrassed to wear it. I was that hurt that's how he. But that's because I didn't have enough confidence in myself to say, "Damn it, I paid for that watch. I wear what I want to wear." So I wish somebody would say something about me wearing diamonds to work now. So, Andrew, what's up?
So, real quick, and I'm not trying to flash you. Use my grandkids.
Dude, your hold on, man. How old is your daughter?
29. 29. So, know how old I am. How old are you? 5, and Elijah's 2. Okay, so a lot of you women, again, I'm speaking apologetically, who are in your adult years, a lot of you are dating a 5 and a 2-year-old who's captured in a 40 and a 50 and a 60-year-old CEO or director body because of the trauma that we have not addressed starting at this age. Because a lot of us give props to Big Mama, and when Big Mama was around, and we love our mama deeply, but we cannot talk about the things that Dad helped us through, including that confidence that Rob just talked about. If we don't have that confidence, the mask goes on.
Yeah. Well, listen, y'all.
I was gonna say, but it doesn't die.
Yeah.
Because, that trauma buried alive does not die.
I felt it this week, y'all. I'm telling y'all. I won't go into the details, but when I promised y'all I had to get on my knees and pray before I did this video, I spent probably 30, 40 minutes in prayer on my knees just so I could be prepared for this call, whatever's going to come out of it. And those who needed to be on the call got on the call. Those that didn't. And so I just want to thank y'all. I really hope the book blesses y'all. Aisha Masonette, you come into this book signing because people need to know how talented you are. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful. I know that process was not easy, but I hope you know not just the reviews that you see, but the people who have read the book, you're hearing it now. You know you're a talented writer. There is no doubt. And so thank you. You put together the story of my life that will bless people long after I'm gone. And there will be people that will, if any of you write your own book, there will always be people who look at it through their lens, who don't like it, who say this and say that. And I have to keep telling myself, why did I write the book? That's what Robin told me before I started this call. Remember why you wrote the book. What was your motivation? And she's right. And so if it heals one person, then the book did what it's supposed to do. So any parting comments before we get out of here? December 3rd, book signing in Indianapolis at Javito's. I'll put it out there. Make sure y'all tell people. Oh, hey, Andrew, we need to talk about me coming to do a book signing in Kansas City. Because that's one of the cities that's on my tour. Kansas City, Memphis, Orlando, Indianapolis, and perhaps Dallas. So when we get closer to Kansas City, I'm gonna have Aisha work with you, because she's going to plan all these things for me in the different cities, man. Just give her feedback of where you think we could have it, things like that. But, man, brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all. Any parting words? No? Sherelle, thank you. Thank you again. I mean, I'm telling you, God bless you. Thank you. My wife is sitting right here, y'all. And that tells you to be able to say thank you to someone that you hurt. Thank you, right? Truly a gift. So, listen, I'm going to do my outro, and then we're going to be out of here. All right. You switch it. So, listen, I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. It was a meaningful discussion. I want to thank all of my guests who joined at some point through the call. And I pray that the book not only inspires, but helps to heal. Please share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time on In His Voice podcast. I'll talk to you later. See you.
All right.
Thank y'all, man.